Official development assistance is going to be cut from 0.5 to 0.2% to cut for increase in defence spending. Can the Minister confirm if this is the case?
Keir Starmer thought he was making a bold, patriotic move, standing firm, protecting British defence firms and proving his leadership. But instead of applause, his statement has triggered a storm of controversy, leaving many questioning his true priorities. Has he just made the biggest miscalculation of his career?
The security of Europe is absolutely paramount. Can the Secretary of State tell us what new steps he's taking to deter Russia from further invading European borders, given that we are now in a new situation?
Keir Starmer, the UK's Prime Minister, recently made a significant declaration aimed at safeguarding British defence firms from foreign takeovers. This move underscores his dedication to preserving national security and economic sovereignty. In a statement to the House of Commons, Starmer emphasised the importance of maintaining control over the UK's defence industry. He expressed concerns about foreign entities acquiring British defence companies, which could potentially compromise national security and lead to a loss of domestic technological expertise. This stance reflects a broader strategy to ensure that critical industries remain under British ownership and control.
It remains ultimately for Ukraine as a proud and sovereign nation that has sacrificed so much to defend itself and the fundamental freedoms that we all hold dear. It is up to them to decide their future.
The motivation behind this move is twofold: national security and economic sovereignty. By preventing foreign takeovers, the government aims to protect sensitive technologies and maintain the UK's defence capabilities. Additionally, keeping these companies under British ownership ensures that profits and jobs remain within the country, bolstering the domestic economy.
Europe and Canada in London to work towards a just peace that guarantees Ukraine's sovereignty and security. But, Mr. Speaker, we need to reduce our dependency.
A notable example highlighting these concerns is the recent bid by Bain Capital, a US private equity firm, to acquire Chemring Group, a UK-based defence contractor. Bain Capital proposed a £1.1 billion deal, offering 390 pence per share, which represented a premium over Chemring's stock price at the time. This bid raised alarms about the potential loss of a key player in the UK's defence sector to foreign ownership. Such acquisitions could lead to strategic assets being controlled by overseas interests, potentially undermining national security.
Why didn't you decide to do that? You've left this to this government to get back to 2.5%, which we last had as a Labour government. I say to the honourable gentleman, he should have done this. We're going to do it.
In response to evolving global threats and to strengthen national defence, the UK government has outlined plans to increase defence spending to 2.5% of GDP by 2027. This marks a significant rise from previous levels and demonstrates a commitment to enhancing the country's military capabilities. The increase in defence expenditure is expected to provide a substantial boost to the economy, particularly in regions that have historically been industrial hubs but have experienced economic decline in recent years. By channeling funds into defence projects, the government aims to revitalise these left-behind towns, creating jobs and stimulating local economies. This strategy not only addresses security concerns but also promotes economic growth and social stability.
Of the old post-war argument, long held on these benches, that economic security is national security.
To maximise the impact of increased defence spending, the government is focusing on integrating domestic manufacturing into defence contracts. Efforts are underway to expedite defence contracts and involve small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, in the supply chain. This approach ensures that a broader segment of the economy benefits from defence spending, fostering innovation and competitiveness within the domestic market. By engaging SMEs, the government aims to create a more resilient and diverse industrial base, capable of supporting the nation's defence needs.
We agreed to develop a coalition of the willing ready to defend a deal in Ukraine and guarantee the peace.
In light of shifting geopolitical dynamics, the UK has been instrumental in establishing a coalition of the willing to support Ukraine. This coalition aims to provide sustained military aid to Ukraine and increase economic pressure on Russia, thereby promoting stability in the region. The initiative underscores the UK's commitment to collective security and its willingness to collaborate with international partners to uphold international law and deter aggression,
including his clear support for Article 5 of NATO. I welcome the understanding from our dialogue.
The coalition comprises several countries, each playing a vital role in supporting Ukraine. While the exact list of participants may evolve, key members include NATO allies and European Union states that share a common interest in ensuring regional stability and deterring further aggression. Each member contributes resources, intelligence, and strategic support to bolster Ukraine's defense capabilities.
As close as they are to the front line with Russia, stressed the urgency of the moment. And, Mr. Speaker, it was a productive summit.
The strategic goals of the coalition are clear: ensure sustained military aid to Ukraine and increase economic pressure on Russia. By providing military assistance, the coalition aims to enhance Ukraine's ability to defend its sovereignty and deter further aggression. Simultaneously, economic sanctions and diplomatic efforts are employed to pressure Russia into complying with international norms and seeking peaceful resolutions. This multifaceted approach aims to restore stability in the region and uphold the principles of international law. In recent developments, President Donald Trump made the unexpected decision to pause all US military aid to Ukraine. This move has sent shockwaves through international communities, prompting varied reactions from European leaders and raising concerns about the future stability of the region. President Trump's decision to halt military assistance to Ukraine came as a surprise to many, including key allies. The suspension encompasses over $1 billion in arms and equipment that had been earmarked for Kyiv since Russia's large-scale invasion 3 years ago. The official reasoning behind this pause, as stated by the White House, is to pressure Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky into making concessions for a peace deal with Russia. This decision followed a contentious meeting between Trump and Zelensky, during which tensions escalated, leading to an abrupt end without any agreements being signed.
And then on Sunday, I hosted European leaders from across our continent, equally committed to this cause.
The abrupt nature of this policy shift left many European leaders scrambling to reassess their positions and commitments. Poland's foreign ministry expressed that Ukraine's allies were not informed beforehand about the US decision, highlighting the suddenness of the move. Voiced deep concern over the unprecedented security threats now facing Europe, emphasizing the need for the continent to bolster its defense efforts. Similarly, French officials criticized the US administration, with Prime Minister François Bayrou labeling the suspension of aid as unbearable and equating it to abandoning Ukraine in its struggle against Russian aggression. In light of the US stepping back, European leaders are emphasizing the necessity for Europe to take greater responsibility for its defense and to support Ukraine more robustly. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen unveiled an ambitious €800 billion plan, termed Rearm Europe, aimed at enhancing the defence capabilities of EU member states. This initiative seeks to provide €150 billion in loans for defence investments and proposes fiscal flexibility for member states to increase defence spending without breaching EU fiscal rules. The plan also includes measures to mobilise private capital to bolster the defence industry, reflecting a concerted effort to reduce reliance on US military support and to ensure that Europe can independently uphold its security commitments. European nations are also working diligently to present a unified peace proposal to the United States, aiming to address the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. This collective effort underscores Europe's determination to play a more proactive role in securing peace and stability in the region, especially in the face of potential US disengagement. The proposed plan focuses on enhancing air and missile defence systems, artillery and cyber preparedness, ensuring that Europe is better equipped to handle emerging threats.
That is why he's attacking the power supplies to communities across Ukraine, and of course we will work with them to ensure they have the security and the power supplies that they need.
The suspension of US military aid to Ukraine has elicited a spectrum of reactions both domestically within the United States and internationally. Political figures, defence industries and global communities have all weighed in, reflecting the complexity and far-reaching implications of this policy shift. Within the United States, reactions have been sharply divided along partisan lines. Democratic lawmakers have criticised the suspension, labelling it as reckless and detrimental to global democracy. They argue that halting aid undermines Ukraine's defence capabilities and emboldens Russian aggression. Conversely, some Republican figures support the decision, viewing it as a strategic move to pressure Ukraine into peace negotiations and to reallocate resources domestically. This division highlights the ongoing debate over America's role in international conflicts and the balance between foreign aid and national interests.
For Ukraine, and that he will convince those NATO allies not spending 2% on defence to step up to the plate and do much more.
The defence industry has expressed concern over the potential implications of increased defence spending by European nations. Companies anticipate a surge in demand for military equipment and technology, leading to potential shifts in global defence markets. Economic analysts warn of possible supply chain strains and the need for rapid scaling of production capabilities. Additionally, there is apprehension about Europe's capacity to independently develop advanced defence technologies without US collaboration, which could lead to challenges in standardisation and interoperability among NATO allies. Internationally, the suspension has been met with a mix of criticism and resolve. European leaders have voiced their disapproval, with French Prime Minister François Bayrou condemning the US decision as unbearable and a potential abandonment of Ukraine. Such sentiments reflect a broader concern about the reliability of US commitments to its allies. In response, the European Union is considering substantial investments to bolster its defence capabilities, signalling a shift towards greater self-reliance. This move aims to mitigate the risks associated with potential US disengagement and to ensure that Europe can uphold its security obligations independently. The international community perceives the UK's assertive defence and foreign policies as a necessary response to the evolving geopolitical landscape. By taking a firm stance on defence matters and advocating for increased European autonomy, the UK positions itself as a proactive leader within the continent. This approach is seen as vital for maintaining regional stability and deterring potential aggressors.
And to support British jobs. As the Prime Minister knows, we welcomed the uplift in defence spending to 2.5% of GDP by 2027. We also support the use.
Balancing increased defence spending with other fiscal responsibilities presents a significant challenge for the UK government. Prime Minister Keir Starmer's commitment to raise defence expenditure to 2.5% of GDP by 2027 underscores the nation's dedication to bolstering its military capabilities. However, this substantial financial commitment necessitates careful consideration of its impact on other areas of public spending.
This will be a difficult but significant step. I know many in Parliament and across our country will be interested in what this entails, and I ask him to work with us so there can be a...
To accommodate the planned increase in defence spending, the government has proposed reducing the overseas aid budget from 0.5% to 0.3% of GDP. This decision has sparked concern among a cross-party group of members of Parliament, MPs, who fear that such cuts could have devastating consequences for the world's poorest populations and damage the UK's soft power on the global stage. Sarah Champion, chair of the International Development Committee, emphasised that reducing aid could be a false economy, potentially making the country less secure in the long run. The Institute for Fiscal Studies, IFS, has weighed in on the fiscal implications of increased defence spending. The IFS acknowledges that while higher defence expenditure is necessary, relying solely on cuts to the overseas aid budget may not suffice to meet the ambitious targets. They suggest that additional measures, such as tax increases or reallocating funds from other public services, may be required to sustainably finance the defence budget without exacerbating the national debt. The UK government faces tough decisions in determining which areas of public spending to adjust to accommodate the defence budget increase. Options include reducing allocations to welfare, education, or healthcare, each of which carries its own set of challenges and potential public backlash. Alternatively, the government could consider raising taxes, a move that would need to be carefully balanced to avoid stifling economic growth. Navigating the complexities of US-UK relations amid differing approaches to the Ukraine conflict adds another layer of diplomatic challenge. President Donald Trump's decision to suspend military aid to Ukraine has strained traditional alliances and placed European leaders, including Prime Minister Starmer, in a difficult position. The UK's steadfast support for Ukraine contrasts with the US's more cautious stance, potentially leading to friction between the two nations.
Of his statement, and also for our conversation earlier today. The United Kingdom is a free, democratic and sovereign country. We recognise that
In response to the shifting dynamics, Prime Minister Starmer has emphasised the need for Europe to assume greater responsibility for its defence and support for Ukraine. This perspective aligns with broader European sentiments advocating for increased autonomy in security matters, especially in light of unpredictable US foreign policy decisions. However, this approach requires careful diplomatic manoeuvring to maintain the long-standing special relationship between the UK and the US, while asserting European strategic interests. The UK's efforts to present a unified European peace proposal to the US highlight the importance of collaboration and consensus building among European nations. This initiative aims to demonstrate Europe's commitment to resolving the Ukraine conflict and to encourage the US to reconsider its position. Success in this endeavour would not only bolster Europe's geopolitical standing, but also reinforce the transatlantic alliance's relevance in addressing global security challenges. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.